everyone, this is Hannah with the Rocket Miner. Today is May the 4th, otherwise known as Star Wars Day, and I'm a huge nerd, so I'm going to be talking about that, and that's why I moved to a slightly different location in my apartment, kind of show off some of my nerdy stuff. But this is the Rocket Miner COVID-19 update. We still care about giving you all the news and updates and information about what's going on with COVID-19 in our community. So I want to give you the news first, and then I'll talk a little bit more about Star Wars and just the hope that we can find in stories. So today in Wyoming, we're at 444 confirmed cases of COVID-19. We have 152 probable cases and 405 recovered cases. The biggest news that we heard today was really good news for Sweetwater County. We heard that Sweetwater County's 11th confirmed case of COVID-19, which we heard about that case last week. It's a Rock Springs woman in her 50s. She was released from Memorial Hospital of Sweetwater County yesterday on Sunday. So she was notified last Wednesday that she had contracted the virus. She was admitted to the hospital on Thursday, but then she was released on Sunday in improved condition, according to Kim White, the MHSC incident commander. And the woman's contacts that she's been in contact with all remain quarantined, according to Kim Lineberger, the Sweetwater County Public Health Director. And contact tracing has not indicated any further concerns at this time, but public health nurses will continue to reach out and follow up with all of the close contacts of that woman for symptom monitoring. So with this new case, they've been doing the contact tracing and reaching out to people she was in contact with, but haven't identified any confirmed or even probable cases based on her, which is good. It indicates that she wasn't around very many other people before she was diagnosed, so she wasn't spreading the virus to anyone before she knew that she had it. So she's not listed as recovered yet, but she is home from the hospital, so she's doing better, which is great. And they also said that of the 7 Sweetwater County people who have been considered probable cases, all of those are recovered. So this means that of the 11 cases, confirmed cases we had, and the 7 probable cases, which makes a total of 18, 17 of those are recovered now. So we just have this one woman who's still an active case, but she's doing better. So that's great news for Sweetwater County, that we're doing a lot better, and the virus is not spreading. It's being pretty well contained in our county. Again, a reminder that as we start to open more places like gyms and hair salons, we need to just keep being careful so that we take the social distancing measures we need to, we wear face coverings, we do things so that we don't keep spreading this virus, and we can keep those numbers for Sweetwater County really low. That was the biggest news that we had as far as updates today. As I said, it is Star Wars Day, so I'm gonna geek out a little bit because I am a nerd. I'm a total nerd. I love Star Wars. I've been especially into that fandom recently, so celebrating today. But even for people who aren't Star Wars fans, I think that there are a lot of things that we can learn from today and we can apply to the situation that we're all going through together. One of the things I was thinking about was how much of a nerd I am, so days like this are really fun for me, but it's because I love stories. I'm a writer, I'm a nerd, I love books, I love movies, I love stories. And one of the coolest parts of being part of the Rocket Miner, being involved in journalism, is being able to share stories. And not just fictional stories, but stories of real people going through real events. And especially during this time period, I think it's so important for us to focus on the stories of real people and what they're going through. Today we shared 2 stories from other Wyoming newspapers that are up on rocketminer.com, and we shared them on our Facebook page. And one of those stories was about couples who are going through long-distance relationships because of COVID-19. This was a story by Nikki Kottman from our sister paper, the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle. And it told the story of Taylor and Bradley Davis, who were engaged and were making plans to move to Cheyenne together later this year. And they are both in the military. Taylor is an airman first class who's stationed at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, and Brady is a specialist in the U.S. Army who's stationed at Fort Carson near Colorado Springs. So when COVID-19 came and messed up their wedding plans that they had for later this year, they made the decision to go ahead and do a really small courthouse wedding with just their parents. So they got married in March, on March 16th. And the very day after their wedding, they had to separate and go back to their respective bases to continue their service with the military. And since then, because of COVID-19, they have not been able to see each other. And Taylor also recently just learned that she's pregnant. So these two are continuing this long-distance relationship, unable to see each other, brand new newlyweds with a baby on the way, but because of COVID-19, they have to stay apart. So they talked about their experiences trying to maintain that connection and their relationship. And Taylor said, "We remind ourselves often that it's temporary and it will make us stronger." And the story shared about another couple in the same situation, one of whom is a public information officer at the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, and her partner is at a fish hatchery in Kansas, actually. So this story definitely encouraged you to go read it and read about these couples' stories, because it shares how they're keeping up those relationships far apart, and it shares the struggle of that, but also the positives, the things that they're doing to spend time together, even though it's virtual, just to maintain that relationship and to keep helping each other and supporting each other through this time. And I thought that was a very cool and inspirational story. It's sad, and it's so hard to hear about people who have to be separated because of this virus, but to see just the way that they hang on to hope through that and the way they hang on to each other and keep supporting each other through it was really encouraging to me. Another story that we shared today was from the Riverton Ranger. It's a story by Claire McFarland, and it is about the family in Fremont County who lost 3 family members in the same day to COVID-19. And the story starts out, the very beginning of the story reads, "Juliet Antelope recovered from coronavirus, but it still won't leave her alone. Antelope's Aunt Gloria, Uncle Larry, and cousin Dawn Wheeler were among the first in Fremont County to die after contracting the virus. 14 members of her family have tested positive for the virus." And also definitely encourage you to go read this story, because it shares about this family and what they've been going through and how so many of them have contracted the virus, and a lot of them have recovered, but a lot have had different symptoms. And it talks about kind of how it started spreading through their family, and then also shares their just deeply personal experiences losing their family members due to this. And it's such a heartbreaking story, but really do encourage you to read it, because it's so important to see what people are going through. Excuse me. And one of the things that makes stories so powerful is that we need all of the stories. We need the happy stories with happy endings, like the woman in Sweetwater County who went home from the hospital yesterday. That's so encouraging, and that gives us hope and encouragement for the people who are beating this disease and who are recovering. But we also need the tragedies. We need to hear the stories about the people who've lost their family members and the troubles and the grief and the horrible situations that they're going through. And tragedies are hard, but tragedies are such an important part of stories and of the human experience. And then we need stories that are mixed, that are both happy and sad, like the stories of these couples that are getting through their long-distance relationships. And it's hard and it's sad, but they're finding hope and they're finding ways to move forward. And all of those different aspects are so important of stories, and the best fictional stories include all of those aspects, because that mirrors real life and that mirrors the human experience that we all go through. And especially in a time like this with this virus, it's so important to have those stories. For a local newspaper, for the Wyoming newspapers, it's so important for us to tell the stories of our friends and of our neighbors, of the people in our state, and what they're going through and what they're experiencing because of this. And that way, when we share those stories, we're not just looking at numbers. I know in our update videos, we give you the numbers every single day, the numbers of cases and recoveries. And I think those numbers are very important to keep perspective about where we're at, about what we're doing. That's how we go forward. That's how we make decisions. But they're not just numbers. Those are people. Every single number is an individual. And every single individual has families and friends and other people that they care about and that care about them. And when we're able to share these stories of specific people, especially in Wyoming, people who are close to us, like I said, there are friends, there are neighbors, when we see their stories and what they've gone through, and I'm so thankful to those who are sharing their stories especially. And when we see those, we can understand, we can keep perspective that these are people, and that perspective is vital for the decisions that we make. And it gives us more perspective on their lives and on our own lives. And it gives us hope and encouragement to see what this virus is doing and see how we can move forward together through it. And to end, I want to say that that's one of my favorite things about Star Wars. And it's one of the reasons I've been using this fandom to get through this time. I'm sorry, I didn't expect to get emotional. But one of the most important things about Star Wars, and one of the biggest things, is it constantly focuses on hope. And that is one of the biggest themes throughout all of the movies and all of the series. The first Star Wars movie that ever came out is called A New Hope. And hope comes up throughout so many of the films and so many quotes. That is one of the constant themes running through those stories. In Rogue One, which is one of my favorites of all of the movies, both Cassian and Jyn repeat the line, "Rebellions are built on hope." And then in Star Wars Rebels, which is one of the series that I've just discovered recently and watched through, there is a character named Hera, and the shirt that I'm wearing today is inspired by Hera and inspired by one of the things she says, because she's talking to Ezra, and she tells him, "We have hope, hope that things can get better, and they will." And I think all of the best stories are stories of hope, and stories that look at tragedies and look at darkness and difficulty, but show people overcoming them together because they have hope and because they keep going because of their hope. And I think that having stories like that, even fictional stories, can help us through this time, can help encourage us, and help us have something to connect over together. But then, like I said, it's so important to see the stories of the real people and what they're going through and how they have hope through this time and how hope will carry all of us through together. So thank you for listening, and thank you for checking in with us. We'll keep giving you updates. Just want to encourage everybody to keep holding on to hope through this time, and we'll get through it together. So have a good day, and may the 4th be with you.